Welcome to the Maximize Business Value podcast brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners like you to maximize your business value and achieve the exit of your dreams, whatever that means to you. With insights gained from over 100 business transactions, we share real-world strategies, lessons, and expert advice to help you build long-term, sustainable value in your business. Each episode is hosted by one of our Mastery certified partners. They're seasoned experts who've helped countless business owners navigate the complexities of growth, scaling, and building value. They bring first-hand experience, actionable insights, and a passion for helping you build a business that thrives. So let's dive in.
Hi, this is Dave Casey, and welcome to the Maximize Business Value podcast. So this is a podcast series we have for serious entrepreneurs and business owners that are intent on adding value, maximizing the value really of their company, and they're passionate about that. And when we say value, it's just long-term sustaining value. It's not like an immediate type thing. So today I'm excited to introduce to you Amy Morin, who is one of our newest partners, certified partners here at Mastery Partners. So Amy, welcome.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks so much. Great introduction, and so happy to be here with you.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to do this. So I really want our viewers to get to know you a little bit. So can you tell a little bit about your background and what got you into coaching and eventually to Mastery Partners?
Yeah. So I feel like I'm a natural fit for Mastery Partners, having been a business owner. Now, I haven't owned 100 businesses like Tom Bronson, but
Yeah, none of us have.
exactly. But yeah, started a company and co-founded a large commercial construction company, or we grew it to be a large commercial construction company. And that company, our top line revenue, just before we sold, was around 40 million.
Wow, that's
And
wonderful. And you started
yeah,
from scratch.
thanks. We
Yeah.
started from scratch. Yeah. So I'm the
Wow.
0 to 40 million club.
That's awesome.
And, and had the opportunity to exit that business. And so we took advantage of that. And, as an entrepreneur, you're always looking for the next venture. And so instead of starting a company, this time we ended up purchasing a fly fishing resort in Montana
Oh,
that was in need of a turnaround. And so that was a totally different project than we had been accustomed to. However, we just took the skill set that we'd built, having,
yeah.
started a business from scratch and applied it to that business. So,
It's very natural, construction and fly fishing. I mean, they just go together. So
well, I guess,
do you still
yeah.
have that?
No, we sold that
Oh,
company as well.
oh
Yeah.
no. I'm a pretty serious fly fisherman. I'd forgotten about that aspect of, oh my gosh. Do you still have a connection
Yeah.
to it? So,
Well, once you are a fly fisherman,
yeah,
it is in your blood for sure. We don't go back to that facility much
yeah,
just because our life doesn't bring us back to Montana
yeah,
much
yeah.
anymore. But we've changed and do most of our fly fishing in Maine when we're there for the
Yeah,
summer.
I do mine in Vermont. So
Oh, okay.
because I grew up right there on the New York Vermont border. We're getting way off topic here, but this is awesome. So, but no, I have really not fly fished in the West that much. A little bit in
Oh,
Arkansas, a little bit in New Mexico, but nothing like up in Colorado and Montana and all the God's country up
yeah,
there. So that's on my
yeah.
list. So
The big difference is the variety of fish and the size.
yeah, oh yeah, and the no overhanging branches. I
Correct.
used to
Correct.
fish
Yeah.
in very small creeks. So
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
that's cool. That's so cool. So construction, fly fishing, and so you turned that around and exited that as well then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that led me to really where I am today. So having exited that second company, was thinking about, all right, what's the third act of my life? And I wanted to take the business knowledge that I'd gained from getting an executive MBA, owning and running these businesses, and bring all the what I felt were the challenges along those two journeys. One of the reasons that led us to exits is we kept hitting the frustration of a ceiling of being an owner and yet losing the freedom that we'd gotten into entrepreneurship for.
Yeah, I
And
know
so,
that feeling.
right. Right. We as entrepreneurs think, oh man, we're going to have all this freedom as we grow this business. And then oftentimes what I see happen, and I experience this in my own life, is that the business ends up taking us over and we lose a lot of those freedoms. And then our inability to relinquish some of what we've grown to ends up holding some of that company back. So it's
Yeah.
that freedom on both ends, right? We lose our freedom and the company loses the freedom to continue to grow.
Yeah,
So,
that's such a powerful word, freedom, too, because as you know, we had our Business Transition Summit event in Austin yesterday, actually,
yeah.
and there was one of the presenters works for a wealth management company, and when she was giving her presentation, she used a term I hadn't heard before, but it's called freedom point, and that's
Mhm.
kind of that hurdle point. That's the dollar figure that you feel you need to get to to either exit your business or this is what I need to sustain me the rest of my life or whatever. They call it the freedom
Yeah.
point. I thought that was such an apt term because that's
Yeah.
at least you're not worried about financial freedom at that point, and then you can
Yeah.
concentrate on what needs to be done at the business level, maybe.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
a
now as an EOS implementer, I get to really help business owners through that.
yeah.
So
So you have EOS practice, I know, and then you have your coaching practice as well, right? Thrive Coaching.
I do. I do. So EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, really works on the operations and structure of a company and strengthening those four intangible capitals that we talk about, where 80% of the business value lies, right? In the customer capital, the human capital, the social capital, and the structural capital. So EOS strengthens those and gets you to that 80% of where that value lies. Another part of Thrive Coaching is Outgrow, which is a sales process. It's a proactive sales process where I help teams create a culture of everybody who is client facing, um, helps to share that with their clients and their customers, their current clients and customers, and we just end up creating this proactive life cycle that's going on in a company. And then, of course, have added exit planning over the last couple of years to my practice. So that really is what encompasses Thrive Coaching. Dave, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. I had a little background.
Oh, that's all
The
right.
other thing that you bring to the table that is so important, and pretty much 100% of our mastery certified partners have this, that you've actually, you know, founded a company, built a company, and been through the exit process yourself. So
Yeah.
you're not just, advising others on maybe the theoreticals of it, but you've been at the closing table with your money at risk and been through due diligence and all that. And that is
Yeah.
such a powerful experience to have, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's a different mindset when you start putting your baby, so to speak, right, on the market, the thing that
Yeah.
you've grown, the thing that you've nurtured and cultured and all that,
Yeah.
and you put it on the market for other people to start picking it apart.
Yeah.
It can be a very tenuous process, shall we say.
Yeah. It's very, a lot of long nights going through that. I remember it well. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and I had my company for over 25 years. So there was a lot there. And it's funny, I probably did not have as much remorse when I sold the company as I thought. I've watched other people go through.
hmm
And maybe because I'd played it out so many times in my head that it was, and when I got past it, I got past it. But it was
yeah,
that we talk a lot with our clients, as with
yeah.
what's next. You got to have a clear idea of what's next before you go through a process, I think.
Yeah, I highly recommend to people be pulled towards something when you're going through the
Yes.
process rather than feeling like you're getting pushed out of your business.
Yep.
And so I'll share an intimate story if you don't mind. So
Yeah.
when we sold our construction company, I somewhat was like you. We owned that company for 22 years. And I was being pulled towards things. I was being pulled towards, I was getting wanted to get my executive MBA. And so that was a super exciting thing for me. And I was being pulled towards a lot of things that had to do with that. And then what happens after that? Versus my husband really lost his identity
Yeah.
when we sold
Yeah.
that company. And it took a long time for him to figure out
Yeah.
what he looked like when he was walking down Main Street and somebody said, "Hey, what do you do?"
Yeah.
And he no longer could say, I'm the owner of PM Construction, or I'm
Yeah.
the founder, or I'm the president, or whatever, right? He didn't
Yeah.
have that identity anymore. And so that is a real thing
Yeah, it is.
for people to think about.
And I think men in particular too, because I mean, usually you meet somebody and hi, how are you? Then probably the second question a man asks is, hey, what do you do? Tell me
Yeah,
about what you do.
right.
So,
Yeah,
and that's really hard to say, well, I used to be in construction,
right.
you know,
Yeah,
that's tough.
yeah,
That is very tough. Well, as I look at our Mastery Partners roster of clients, we've had both current clients and former clients, and over 60% of our client base are women-owned businesses. And it really, I didn't really had run those numbers until we were moving over to our CRM platform, Zoho, and we started entering in everybody's information. And it's not by design, but why do you think that is?
that women come to more coaching and want
Yeah,
some help
because
as they start to exit
I
or
think that's what it is.
improve. Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that maybe coaching just resonates a little better.
yeah,
Um, certainly that I have three women clients now that are women-owned businesses, and there's certainly strong independent women,
yeah,
but they do listen well. So,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I guess I won't even say that they're just more thoughtful than some
Mhm.
of the guys I coach. So,
Yeah. What's really interesting is I've been teaching a lot on the learning zone versus the performance zone.
yeah,
And so I think probably this is total theoretical at the moment, right? Because we have no data or research
right,
to back this up other than your data on how many women are in our program at the moment.
yeah,
Um, but when you compare the performance zone and the learning zone, the performance zone is all about we have got to perform, right? We've got to execute and we're just going to grind through it and we're going to be grit and get it done. And not that women don't do that, but we integrate, I think, the learning zone into that performance zone. And the whole reason I'm bringing this up is because the paradox of the learning zone versus the performance zone is that in order to perform better, you've got to also mix in that learning zone, right? And so the
yes,
learning zone really revolves around uh, figuring out what skill gaps you have, what skill gaps you're missing, and how to find resources to help you fill those skill gaps to get you where you want to go. So going back to the old analogy, years and years ago, Dave, you and I are dating ourselves here at the moment, right? But of men don't ask for directions,
right,
but as a female, I'd be like, I'm always like, can we just get directions? Because I want to get there quicker,
yeah.
right? And my husband's like, no, we're just going to figure it out. And
That's
now,
a forced
Google
march. You're
and
not going to get there quicker.
exactly.
That's
But so I think that women just naturally integrate the learning zone, and that's what we're seeing in our practice.
yeah. It's that's great to hear because in my experience, and I was in a technical, I had an IT services company. So when I think of learning or thought of learning, it's really, technical. There's so much technical stuff happening. It changes every day.
Yeah,
Now it's all AI and there's a lot more to learn. And I don't think about learning about people and learning, or how to work with people, how to get them, get to enable people better, or even structure changes within a company. Those are things that I think, I think I've been so focused on basically the tactical stuff, and we got a new product,
yeah,
we've got to get this rolled out to everybody and stuff, and some of the learning that you're talking about went by the wayside for me for sure when I had my
yeah,
company. And
yeah,
I've actually interviewed on the podcast a couple of HR professionals, and I would freely confess that that was the weakest thing that I did owning a company. I did not handle. I get along with everybody. That's great, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you're handling your HR stuff correctly. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that was
Yeah.
certainly a challenge for me. And I always just thought I'm just going to hire people that are at the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and they're
Yeah.
self-actualized, and you just kind of point them and they go. And a few times that worked, but a lot of times it didn't. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So, Dave, I'm curious, having you said that, so what was your human capital score? Do you remember? Was that a little bit lower and you needed to improve that as you?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I can't remember. I probably blocked it out what it was, but it was lower. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, and it's interesting. Uh, we had built such a great team. With our company, when I had the company, I had employees. My top sales guy worked with us for 24 years.
Nice.
My top technical person, 13 years. My administrator, I think 15 years. So top in those areas. So it was well, yeah, everybody got along, everybody worked well together, and then,
Yeah.
but we certainly could have done things much better. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things. So given what we do, in working with business owners and trying to do the analysis we do and the advice we give and really the coaching that we do. Not everyone is totally open to coaching. Can you recall like maybe a difficult situation that you face that it just didn't work the way you wanted it to work?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Those
only need
definitely
one.
happen. Yeah, exactly. Thanks. Thank you. Yes, I think the difficult situation that's coming to mind really revolves around being able or being honest with yourself that in order to take your company from where you are today to where you want to go, whether it's an exit or not, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
really matter. If you've got something in your mind that says, "Hey, I want to go here," and my baseline or where I'm at is,
yeah,
below that at the
yeah,
moment, it's work.
yeah,
And the companies that are not, or the individuals that are not honest with themselves about they're willing to do the work, A, and B, they're willing to do it alongside somebody or even alone. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about having joined Mastery is that we'll give you a blueprint. I mean, we'll sit
yeah,
with you, we'll sit next to you, we'll get you all set up, and then we say we'll either help you along this journey if you want,
yeah,
or here's your blueprint and you can go, do it on your own.
yeah,
Most companies don't, right? For a reason, because they need that accountability partner.
yeah,
They
yeah,
need the coach. They need some advice along the way.
yeah.
But the companies that aren't successful are the ones who are not willing to do the hard work. And that's really the toughest conversation to have, but the
And
most honest to have.
yeah, and that's I think it's so hard if you've had some success, you founded a company, you built a company, you've had some success, maybe you've got a bump in the road, or maybe you've got some it's a change of direction, or if it's aiming toward the exit at some point, there's changes. And I've had business owners just say, well, I only have so much time to work on this stuff because we have important stuff. We have customers to take care of. We've got new programmer rolling out. We got this, we got that. And I've got a problem over here on the supplier side and all these things. And trying to communicate to them that working on this company is probably the most important thing. It might be more
Yeah,
important than those other things.
yeah,
And if that light bulb doesn't go off, I've seen that that's a hard engagement. Or,
yeah,
yeah, that's a tough
yeah,
one. So I'll flip that around. We'll leave that where it is. And so what's been your most rewarding coaching engagement that you've been in?
yeah. Um, I'm going to talk about one that I'm still involved with. So I've been working with this client for pretty close to 5 years. They're an EOS run company. They've been going through a ton of changes. They are a construction company in the residential world.
Oh,
And so, you and I are recording this of September of 2025. They've been in business for 50 plus years.
oh my.
So they've had experienced interest rates of, two something percent, 2 point
Yep.
whatever. And we're sitting here talking where interest rates are around eight or so, high sevens, high sixes
Yep.
to high sevens, maybe even close to eight. And that really has affected their industry.
Yeah.
But to watch this team strategically work through that and even retool, change people on the leadership team, bring in some people from outside who have done strategic turnarounds, who may not even have construction experience, and they don't need it at that point, right? What
Sure.
they need is some really significant thought leaders. Um, it's just been a delight to watch where
Wow.
that team has gone and where that company continues to go.
Mm. And I can only imagine what how EOS has helped that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
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 And I think most people that watch this podcast understand EOS, but um, you might take a second just to go, why did you jump into EOS and why did you go to the point where I want to be an implementer for this?
Yeah. Well, I always I drive the best vehicles. I align with the best processes, right, that there are out there, hence Mastery Partners as well. We have a dialed in value acceleration methodology,
Yeah.
which is what I consider the best in the business. And so does an EOS, right? So EOS stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System, developed by Gino Wickman 20 plus years ago, maybe even close to 25 now. But what EOS does is there are several operating systems out there, but EOS really is the most simplest and comprehensive that there
Okay.
is. And so, we focus on six different key components. Those key components are all the key components that drive a company. So, getting alignment on the vision of an organization, where are we going for the future? And then making sure that everybody aligns with that vision and knows what that vision is. We have a really straightforward way of making sure that we have the right people in the organization that are going to help us get there. So we call that right people sitting in the right seats in the organization. We have a straightforward way of looking at the data, right? The data component is all about having a scorecard with measurables, and that scorecard should be a predictive scorecard, right? So you've got all these weekly data points in there, and how do you use that to predict where you're going, right?
Yeah.
To have it look through the front windshield as you're driving, as opposed to being the rear view mirror. Very insightful. I've been doing 9 different workshops on that recently, and I'm seeing a lot of light bulb moments in the room because
Oh,
most
that's
people
super.
use their scorecard as just, you know, uh, hey, it's red. Let's drop it down. Let's IDS it. Let's solve that issue this week of why it's red. But that's the elementary version of a scorecard,
Yeah.
right? So I'm encouraging people to take a deeper dive on that. We have a really clear process of how to get to the root cause of issues and how to take those roadblocks that are causing you to stay stagnant or to not break through those ceilings, and get you over those hurdles. We have a really simple process for documenting all the core processes in your organization, and that's your intellectual property,
Yeah.
right? Which again, most people don't see that in their organizations. They think processes hold you back. But processes is one of the ways that you gain freedom in your company.
Yeah.
And we have a really clear way of getting you traction, of helping you to execute on that vision of where you want to go day in and day out. And so I really did align myself with the best of the best.
Yeah, that's a good choice. And
Yeah,
we've definitely seen the changes since we adopted EOS less than 2 years ago now in
yeah,
this company. And but it is definitely a game changer. I mean, it really, particularly, I think when new folks join, it gives them a structure that we hadn't had before. Just onboarding
yeah.
was a lot more difficult because you're kind of, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about this, I forgot to tell you about that, all that kind of stuff. So Amy, thanks again for joining us and everything. We ask every one of our guests on this podcast. So, what do you feel is the one thing that you can be done that builds the most maximizes value the most for a business owner?
Sure. I would say the simplest thing to do to maximize value is de-risk.
Yeah.
And the most impactful would be to strengthen those four intangible capitals.
Yes, the ones you discussed earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, the human capital, the social capital, the structural capital, and the customer capital.
Yeah.
And in doing so, what's going to happen, the outcome is you're going to have a business that runs independently from the owner.
Yep.
And
And
that's
that's a
all about
big de-risk
maximizing
in
value.
itself because that
It is.
reduces that owner dependency. Yeah.
Yeah, it sure
That's
does.
wonderful. Well, excellent, excellent. Well, again, I can't thank you enough for joining us. And
Thank you, Dave.
I'm gonna close us with our standard closing, which is this is the Maximize Business Value podcast. We do this for business owners that are serious about building long-term sustainable value in their business. We air a podcast each week, so tune in, subscribe to us, and until that time, we'll see you. We'll see you soon. I'm Dave Casey. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Maximize Business Value podcast. I hope today's conversation sparked new ideas on how you can continue driving value in your business. But remember, it's not just about listening. It's about taking massive action. Visit our website, masterypartners.com, for more resources. Grab a copy of any of the books in the Maximize Business Value series on Amazon or via the links below. And don't hesitate to reach out if you want to know how to apply these concepts to your business. So until next time, I'm Tom Bronson, reminding you to relentlessly execute while you maximize business value.